My name is Midge Beachem. My son's name was Specialist Robert E. Hall Jr. He was in the Army Reserves when he first went in. Yeah, he went in basic training in 1997. He was born in Baltimore in 1975. He had two big sisters. He was a very good baby. I remember the girls looking out the window, you know, with little shirts that said, "I have a baby brother." Yeah, it was amazing. He was a good baby. He was a really good baby. His dad was killed at the steel mills in Baltimore when he was 3, and I was actually pregnant with Stephen, and my girls were 4.5 and 6.5, and that was a very tragic time. Yeah, he was just 3 years old. I do not know where I'd be today if I had met the man who became their father, James R. Beachem. Yeah, he doesn't like to go on camera, but he is their father in every sense of the word. And you know, Bob loved him from the day he met him. You know, he was just amazing for me then and for me now. He's been my strength throughout the years.
And what was your son like as a child?
Well, he was very, very kind of risk-taking with his little three-wheeler going flying down the hill and, you know, no stop, you know. God, I thought he was going to wreck and the cars and stuff like that. But he was, you know, we moved here to Pittsburgh in 1980. And he was kind of shy. I don't think people understand what the death does to a child. You know, he was very clingy, very, very shy, and not so much outgoing. And neither was I. The risk of losing, the risk of you know, making friends and change. I do not like the knock on the door. I do not like that. I've had that, and that is the worst. A knock on the door is terrible. Terrible, terrible news. Terrible, terrible. Oh, we actually, when my son died, we didn't get a knock on the door. I got a phone call from his wife. They were outside, but she said, "Don't knock on her door." She called me, which was kind of shocking to hear it over a phone too. But I don't know, the support. Bob was, he was quiet. I say quiet. He didn't smile a lot. I mean, his life, he married, had a little 3-year-old little girl. She was his life. She was his reason for living. She was his reason for doing what he did, for putting up with what he did. And she is now a sophomore at Duquesne, which is amazing because, well, another little thing is she was 3 when he died. I never felt that anything would happen to him. Just didn't. I just didn't. It was, and a blessing. He called us the night before he died. And that was, I think about that, and that was, wow. To call us and talk to us. And God has his reasons. You know, and another little thing is, I wasn't even angry at the man who killed him. He was head guard. He was head guard. But what had happened is his brother was going to get married in October. So he switched with some man so that, you know, he could come home in October, not in June. So it just so happened, Bob, who was picked out of his whole unit, was the only one to go over because he could drive heavy machinery. But I didn't know everybody over there takes their turn doing checking for landmines or being head guard or all the specific jobs you have. And that day, it was his turn to be the head guard. And what we were told is there was some kind of big thing going on in. So there were a lot of higher up officials in the base at that time. Whether that's what caused the truck to come up and him preventing the truck from going into the base. And they tell me pretty much that he died instantly. And then there was a soldier next to him, spaced, that got burnt really bad, that ended up, he did survive. And then there was another gentleman that was there, and he came over and was looking after the burnt guy because he had been a medic. And they came and took Bob immediately. And I don't know if anybody remembers of getting the little lit candles that you can get through Facebook or one of those website things they used to do. I don't know if they do that anymore. On 1 year from the day he died, I got one of them from a nurse named Lisa, who said she prayed for us before we even knew. I was like, oh my God. How that must have affected her. You know, just what they see. You know, they see the death and all of that kind of stuff. And the man who was the medic, it was like 7 years after our son was killed on a Friday evening. We're getting company. Knock on my door. Total stranger. Hi. I was there when your son was killed in Iraq, and I came for closure. So he had said he had went out to the cemetery, and I was like, well, you would never have found him. So we invited him in, and he told us stories. He gave us pictures. He gave us the bracelet that they wear over there when they have like a ceremony. We were like, oh my God, a total stranger from Wichita knocking on our door. And we were having a race the next day in honor of my son Bob and another soldier who had died, Matt Brown. And he went and he ran the race. And I mean, oh my God, you know, how that impacted him, that he needed closure and to come meet his family like that. And he came back the next year, and we've gotten Christmas cards and letters from him. And it's just amazing how there are very good people in this world, very good people. And another letter we got was from the gentleman who changed places with my son. Kind of like, you know, maybe if, and I'm like, no, don't go there. It's not your fault. That happened. There could have been so many other things that, you know, we've kept his letter too. But, oh my God. And then I failed to mention our wonderful friends that we have. Immediately people were here. Our very dear friends came and brought us white roses. And in this vase to the left of me, you'll see some white roses. Well, they're kind of dried out now because on June 28th, it'll be 17 years. And I mean, they had a flag up the next day, our friends did. And our neighbors collected money, and we got the stone you saw out front with the money from our neighbors. And there is a new family that moved in last year and had been in Iraq. They brought us down flowers on Memorial Day. We didn't even know them. And we got flowers again this year, and we're assuming they're from them. But one of our dearest friends one had a son in his room, and one had from kindergarten up, and the other had a daughter, bring us flowers every Memorial Day. And that one big basket out there you saw is from them. Mary and Lou and Dolly and Jim are very close friends. It's, Oh, and you know, and it's like the church was full, and it was amazing. Our priest was wonderful. Um, just, it was just so amazing. And I can remember walking out of our church, and one of our dear friends is 6'5", and he was crying, and his name's Bob. My son's Bob. My sister's a Bob. It's like, there are so many Bobs, you know, and it's like, there's not a day go by that somebody doesn't say Bob. You know, he's got that name. Even my husband, his middle name is Robert, you know, and his dad's name was Bob. They called him Bob. But, I'm just, you know, and another thing that broke my heart was the first time somebody said, he's a hero. And I was like, oh my God. Never in his wildest dreams would he have ever thought, you know. They're all heroes. They're all heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, our military are amazing. The men and the women, they've given so much, and we can't give back. Oh, golly, isn't that picture beautiful?
It's beautiful.
The kids asked me if that was me up in the right-hand corner. He put every aspect of the service in that picture. That is amazing. And that picture you see of Bob right there with that smile, he didn't smile a lot. That is him looking at his daughter with his face mask on. She had his face mask on. We saw him Thanksgiving before he left. We were down at Fort Benning, Georgia. So that's the last time she got to see him, was Thanksgiving of 2004. Oh, golly. I have pictures of where him and Rachel, we went to the mall, and they were sitting on Santa Claus's lap and just, you know, playing and talking and happy, you know, to see him next to Santa Claus and her on his lap. It was a very nice weekend. It was very nice. I remember once Tracy was here. I hadn't seen Rachel in a while, and I said, can you bring, you know, Rachel over for me to see? And she brought her over, and her dad actually happened to call. Wow. It's like, gosh, what is that, like a sense that, you know, he knew he called when she was here? So she got to talk to him, and I got to talk to him. But the night before he died, when he called, that was like, oh my God. Because he had to walk like a mile to the phone. It's not like, you know, it was right there for everybody, and you have to wait your turn and say, a couple times he had called, and if something was going on, say someone was killed, well, you were cut off. You were cut off immediately. Or if you said something or he said something that wasn't supposed to be said, the phone call was disconnected. So I guess they were listening in. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs. What if I had said this, or, you know, besides the normal, I love you, be safe, you know, I'm going to have you a big party when you come home, because her family had him a party when he left. And I'm like, Mom's having you a big party when you come home. Well, let me tell you, I went to the VA for counseling, which was very new back then, because originally it was just for the you know, I don't even know if it was for the spouse, but mainly just for the men. And I'm reading through all my stuff, and I'm like, oh, I can go to the VA for counseling? Oh, okay. So I call this number, and Dave McPeak, who was the head of the VA over in Crafton at the time, I was talking to him, and I was telling him, and I'm crying, and I'm like, he goes, well, yeah, you can come. And I says, well, let me think about it. And he goes, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And I said, Jim, he wants me to see me tomorrow. So my husband took me there for months, because I could not have driven. I was just crying too much. And I had to see a shrink. I was, yeah, and I was on meds. I couldn't sleep. It's like your heart's ripped out. I mean, I lost my husband when I was pregnant and had 3 little babies, and it wasn't the pain. Not that I didn't suffer, but I was more in pain for my kids for losing their dad than I was for me. Because I lost my mom when I was 5. And I'm thinking, oh, so I know what my children are going through. And my poor dad, he was like, oh my God, you know, he was just devastated because he had been through what I did. He lost his spouse. But, oh my God, it was just, it's like, we've talked about this before, other Gold Star moms and families and stuff. There's a hole. It doesn't get filled. It doesn't, it's there. And I can talk sometimes and not cry a tear. And other times, you just cry. You just do. I mean, there's so many what ifs that you can't even ask what if. You can't ask what if. We'll find out. I was told you will find out when it's our time, and we find out, and we'll all be together one of these days, and we'll find out. He's up there with my dad and his mom. He's in, I don't want to say, well, he's probably in a better place, because some people, this isn't a great place all the time down here. There's a lot of suffering going on. But oh my God, I am so, do you have other children? Yeah, I have other children. But that doesn't replace, the one you had. I have, oh my God, see, that was another thing. When he first died, it was like my son would say, okay, Mom, I'll be over in an hour. Well, it might be 3 hours. Don't do that to me. I panicked. Don't do that. Call me and tell me, because your mind is like, don't do that to me. The anticipation of, I don't like that. No. I mean, yes, it's gotten better over the years. But, things, they get better over the years, but it's just a difference. And if you asked any Gold Star mom or dad, I went through the VA till Dave retired. So it was probably a good, close to 10 years. And he retired, and it was like, oh, I'm not starting over with somebody else. There's just no way. I just couldn't. I said no. And I got to know all the veterans there, and the veterans actually made me that. The one they give you is closed. I have it upstairs. And I said, oh, I want to see the flag. So they gave me that on his anniversary one year. They made that for me. I am like a go-to Gold Star mom if the veterans need me. I got to go to the VA hospital for the 50th anniversary of Vietnam, and they let me explain the folding of the flag. When they were folding the flag. Oh, I love veterans. My husband's always yelling at me because I love veterans, and I'm always, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. And one day I was coming out of Giant Eagle, and I said to a gentleman, thank you for your service. And he stopped and he goes, oh, well, thank you. Nobody must have said that lately to him. But I always do. I always do. I don't care if they're eating. I don't care if they're walking. I just thank you for your service, because why not? They need it. Especially the Vietnam era veterans, what they went through and what they saw. Oh, well. But I like my veterans. And I love when there's color guards are standing around. I go thank every one of them. I do. Oh, His birthday was in April. That is pretty bad. And June is bad for me. June is a bad month for me. Not only did he die June 28th, his dad died June 16th, and my birthday is June 22nd. So one was 6 days before, one was 6 days after. And I remember telling our priest, I hate June. And he's like, oh, you gotta celebrate June. I said, I didn't feel like celebrating anything then. This month is like, I want to get through that kind of real fast. Let me just get through the 16th to the 28th and move on. But it's very hard. It is very, very, very hard days to get through. The Christmas, I didn't have a tree. You just, that stuff is, I don't know, it was kind of hard. Well, the kids were, like my kids were older, so they knew, they understood. But then you get the grandkids and they don't understand, and you have to go on, and I don't know. You see some of the things I had a lot more. You saw his remembrance flag outside. Isn't that beautiful? We got a lot of support. We still do. My friends, they still do, because it's something I wouldn't want to share it with anybody. I mean, I've had other people say, oh, well, this one lost somebody, talk to Midge. She lost a husband, have her talk to Midge. Or our closest, one of our dear friends, lost a sister Saturday morning, 62 years old, from cancer. It's like, Mom, don't you, he said to his mom, who's just had 2 heart attacks and she's in her 80s, Mom, don't you think Midge would have given her life up for Bob? She's a peace mom, I just want to go over and hug her. But she's in her own pain right now, just losing her only daughter. She has a son and a daughter.
Now, speaking of uniforms, what did you think? What was your first impression when you saw Bob in his uniform?
Oh, wow, he looks so mature. So proud. So, I don't know, just neat. And, like an American soldier. He was, 1 year, Harrisburg had up 4x7, I don't know, did you know about these? 4x7 banners that were hung on the streets of Harrisburg from April to October. So that was the dedication in April, and we went back in October. They gave them to us.
Oh.
Okay, what am I going to do with mine? I'm not from a little town where, there's 6 and they put them somewhere. And his high school was, Bob wasn't like a star football player like some of, they've made more of an issue over, who have died. But, so I came home and I put the banner up in his bedroom window. What I didn't realize, back then our windows had those little squares. His picture was one in one of those squares. And my son, he came and he goes, Mom, you can't keep that up there. Because it looked like he's just looking right at you, walking up. And another close friend said, oh my, Midge, So I have that upstairs. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? It's an honor to have, and I'm thinking, you know what? We could have put that outside for his birthday. or for Memorial Day, we could have put that up. We could put that
Yeah, that's
outside.
an idea. That's an idea.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you. Now, if you could say anything to him right now,
Oh, God.
what would you say?
Oh, Lord, did I miss him? That I wish I told him more often that I loved him. I miss him. Yeah.